Well, that was a roller coaster. In the end, not the result the Stars were looking for, but because it's not an elimination game for them, there'll be more hockey. In fact, on Saturday, time TBD. Let's get into it with the Stars post-game show. Luds is here. I'm here. Elijah's producing tonight for our vacationing John. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about it right now here on DLLS. DLLS Stars Post Game show. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour. Check out Happiest Hour for the best spot to watch the NHL playoffs. Live here in the DLS Lounge studio, I'm Owen Newkirk alongside Craig Ludwig, the four-time champion, 2 in college, 2 in the NHL. And we're counting. That's who. Elijah Smith is our producer tonight, as he fills in for John Anderson, who has another weekend. I swear that boy has more bachelor parties than I don't know what he doesn't even know if he knows what to do with. But if we don't get a video of him doing another Dirty Dancing lift, I'm going to be disappointed.
Really?
I
hope I never see one again.
I don't know.
No.
All right.
Not.
Well, Stars lose this one tonight, as you can see at the top of the score right there. It is a 7-4 Colorado Avalanche win in Game 6. Luds, there was a time, I think probably after a frantic second period, where we thought that this one might be it for the series. But the Avs come back, tie it, get a really fluky goal, couple empty netters, and they live to see another day. Big takeaways from tonight.
It was a track meet of a game. I mean, it was back and forth, and too much back and forth for me. But, the Avs put up another 45, 46, 47 shots, something like that. So, and there were, they say you make your breaks. And there were a couple goals that were scrambly. Yeah, the unfortunate, the one that goes off of Blackwell. But again, a lot of that has to do with, in my opinion, is the way that the Avs want to play downhill. But they have a game plan. Their game plan is to spend as much time as they possibly can in the offensive zone. And they're doing a pretty good job of that. And they're ending up spending a lot of time around the net. And whether it's with one guy or two guys or whatever it may be. And then there's times where Dallas kind of collapses there, and then they end up leaving the points open at times, and then there becomes those that you have to deal with. So they were on an offensive slant for sure tonight, but it was nice to see the pushback from Dallas. We had a good 15 minutes or so. We were feeling pretty good about ourselves. It was.
That intermission, I think we were all starting to plan what we were going to do the rest of the first round, waiting for an opponent. But now, well, we've got Blues and Jets for Game 6 tomorrow, I believe. And then Stars and Avs Game 7 on Saturday. Step 1 is hope that the Stars win that game and move on. Step 2 is you hope that the Blues win Game 6, so they and Winnipeg have to make another trip, and whoever the Stars would face if they advance has to play a 7th game as well.
Yeah, and there's always that chance that, not that you wish anything bad at anybody, but a couple players from, good players get knocked out from each side. Obviously, Winnipeg's missing one of them so far. Their captain is out. Yep. Scheifele's out. But that series is getting heated up. I mean, it's getting heated up with verbal sparring between the coaches and the players, and it's a war. They're playing a lot of heavy minutes in the games. When those guys are done playing that competition, I guarantee there's a bunch of ice bags out there. So that's always good for a team that you're sitting around waiting for. But first things first, Dallas got to take care of business at home.
Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below the video as you're watching live here on YouTube. If you're listening later, obviously that helps us more live on YouTube than it does on our audio streaming platforms. But you can also hit us up with those super chats. I see them starting to pile in. We'll get to them in segment 3. Luds, you said it was a track meet. And a couple years ago, the Stars were not prepared with the depth of their roster to go toe-to-toe with a team like Colorado. Last year that changed, and this year you can see they have the weapons. Now they're missing Miro Heiskanen and Jason Robertson, but they still have guys that can get up and down the ice. And that Finnish line looked unbelievably dangerous, especially in the second period, as Roope Hintz and Mikael Granlund and Mikko Rantanen combined for 4 second-period goals. 4-point nights for both Rantanen and Hintz. That's the first time in NHL history that two teammates have each had a 4-point period in a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, good on them, right? But I can promise you that I think neither coach is going to be happy with the games that they played. I don't. The playoff hockey isn't the kind of hockey where, you exchange chances, and I don't think that, Bednar or DeBoer are going to be happy with the way that their teams played. Bednar is going to be a little bit happier because they ultimately won the game and they get to fight another day. But I think both of them would like to see a little tighter game and not have to rely on your goaltenders coming up with some incredible saves at times and having to deal with chaos at both ends of the rink. So, I think that I think it's dangerous to open up with guys like MacKinnon and Makar on the other side, because that's the kind of game that they want to play. And MacKinnon can play in that game where it's a heavy game, but Cale Makar likes to be able to dance, and he's effective doing it.
And they played a ton again. As we just take a quick glance, I haven't actually looked at the final time on ice numbers.
I only knew Makar was somewhere around 30. I don't think MacKinnon was too high.
Makar played 28-20, and MacKinnon actually, surprisingly, I mean, for him, 22 and a half minutes. That's normal. Maybe it's because they didn't have a ton of power play time. They had a little bit more than the Stars did. That Cale Makar sell job was pretty impressive. They were so upset, Avalanche fans were, after the Jamie Benn skating into the Josh Manson stick. They got a high sticking penalty in Game 5, and everybody said, from Colorado's perspective, we're accusing the Stars captain of embellishment. Well, in the first game of the series, the pick play? That was Game 1, right? Yeah. I'm not losing it.
That was with Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson on Thomas Harley, allowing Nichushkin to go right down the main shore. Or was that Game 2?
Well, that wasn't the only reason Nichushkin went down the middle of the ice. Everybody else turned their back to everything going on.
The reason
it opened up a little space.
You even said if Harley had recognized that and gone down, that's probably forces the referee to make a call. Well, Cale Makar looked like he got shot by a cannon, not the speedway we talk about, but he threw his head back, he crumpled, he went down on the ice. It was clearly interference by Granlund, but Makar sold it extremely
obviously
dramatically, and it worked.
He sold it pretty well, obviously. Yeah. So I think there's some of those things that happen in games, and again with the top players in the league, I think they get watched a little bit more and they are protected a little bit more. So I guess you have to say it was a sell job, and so there's a couple picks that we're talking about coming back and haunting you.
You want to – I'm not going to ask you if you want to, but I think we should break this down because we've got a lot of goals to talk about. And if we wait till the second segment, we may not get to them all. And I know we've got Super Chat continuing to pile in. So let's break this down, and we start in the first period. And the opening few minutes, I actually thought that Dallas looked pretty good. They were structurally sound. They weren't giving up anything in tight. And then the Val Nichushkin goal, 6.5 minutes in, which went off both Dallas defensemen on the ice at that point, Lindell and Lyubushkin. And that kind of a pinball set off the next 14 or 15 minutes of just one-way hockey.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. You say it's lucky, but you have guys that are throwing pucks to the net, and they've got guys that are driving through the middle of the ice in the lanes. And it ends up being – there was a couple of them tonight, right? But if there aren't players that are driving to the net, those kind of things don't happen. So, and Nichushkin is one of those kind of guys that you were hoping that was going to stay quiet. He hasn't really come out and made himself a monster like we know that he can play in all of these games. So, now he's finding a little bit of steam, which is one of the things you don't want to see happen because he's another big bullet in that gun. So you don't want to see him get the confidence going like he does right now.
The first period, the shots ended up being 19-10 in favor of Colorado. But this is the crazy part. They had 20-9 scoring chances. The high danger were only 3-0, which doesn't sound that big because one of the goals wasn't a high danger chance. The Nichushkin one. It was not a harmless shot, but an ordinary shot that then took a couple of deflections and went in. But then Arturi Lehkonen had a rebound at the crease from a Nature's corner shot. That was a really dangerous save stopped by Ottinger. Lehkonen had another one on a rebound at the top of the crease. He was not afraid. I mean, we're going to have a conversation for the next couple of periods about Finnish players making plays. Lehkonen is not afraid to get his nose dirty and go to the net.
You find him in front of the goaltender all the time. I'm very impressed by the way that he plays the game. Once you get to watch a player, and you watch him a couple times during the year, and you're like, yeah, he does these things, but now there's a steady diet of how he goes about his business. And it's the perfect combination when you've got a guy like MacKinnon and, on that kind of a line, and whoever else you have out there is, where Lehkonen's going to be, and he gets the ugly, dirty goals.
The Stars had a big stretch where they didn't have much. Actually, one of the better chances, it wasn't high danger, but Alexander Petrovic caught a pass in the high slot and did a little toe drag dangle to the right circle. Blackwood was square to him, so it looked like a routine save for a big goalie like that. But, that's the kind of thing that, you don't expect from Petrovic because he hasn't played in the NHL most of the year, and yet he doesn't look thrown off by the moment.
Yeah, I think that when he's playing back-to-back in games like this, in the playoffs, he's playing 15 minutes a night, you feel more part of the team. I mean, you're not just going out there and trying to take up minutes for other guys to get a breather. And I think sometimes you get a little more confidence. And so he sees them little moments, he takes his chance.
Then at the end of the period, it's the guy we were talking about earlier, Arturi Lehkonen scores at the left crease. It was a bit fortuitous because Makar took a slap shot from the top of the right circle and flubbed it. But again, Lehkonen went to the net, and it was a dunk for him at the left side.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a common theme going on here with the way that the Avs are going about their business. They're not just perimeter guys. They're not high-end kind of players. They get a good balance of, the guys that are the MacKinnons and the Makars and guys like that. I mean, even Natchez is getting a little close to the net, and Nelson's there. So they're getting more into those areas that are blue-collar areas, and they're you got to pay your price, and some of these guys are getting rewarded.
So that's how the first period came to an end. It was sort of felt like the ice was tilted pretty heavily by the end of the first 20 in favor of the Avalanche. But you know what, Luds? Dallas actually pushed back, but it helped that they got a power play because Makar, first chance of the second period, had a wide open shot from in between the hash marks. Jake made a good save. You cannot give that guy too many of those looks.
No, and I think, for guys like that, they feed off of that kind of stuff, and they get their confidence there, and they see the open ice, and they remember how they got to the open ice. And so even though you have a game plan and you know how the other team plays, but now they're starting to find little holes in the ice and where they are when people enter from this side of the ice, and guys like Makar, MacKinnon, the top guys find them little areas, and they got people that can get them the puck there.
The Finnish line, that's kind of a play on words, isn't it? The Finnish line, get it? Granlund, Rantanen, and Hintz, phenomenal second period. It started because Granlund drew a penalty behind the net on Brock Nelson in the first 55 seconds. That led to the Stars' first goal, which was Roope Hintz on the power play from Rantanen and Johnston at 1:18, just 23 seconds into the man advantage. And it was actually knocked in by Charlie Coyle after Hintz took the shot on Blackwood. It was a bang-bang play at the crease. Technically, I think that went down as an actual goal, not an own goal, but still pretty crazy.
Well, again, where is everybody going? And again, I think it's becoming contagious. And when one team sees where they're going and the other team says, well, we got to get in there, they found things that when Blackwood is seeing it, just like Jake, when they're being able to see these shots, they're making some pretty good saves and some timely saves. But now when there's more traffic in front of them, getting bumped into and people flying back and forth across, a little more difficult that they're finding.
The next big moment was not long after that. Liam Bichsel goes down, crashes into the boards on the side, and it looked very, very dangerous. It looked like we were going to see a significant long-term injury, yet Bichsel did return in the third period.
Yeah, I think you're fortunate. At first, I couldn't tell it was a shoulder, but then I think at the end, maybe he got his bell rung, and there was enough time by the end of the period, into the intermission and things like that, he was able to return.
And that's where we're at right now, a 2-1 Avalanche lead, as we continue with our recap in just a moment, right here on the DLS Game 6 Stars Post Game Show.
Barbecue and country music. What's more Texas than that? Lone Star Smokeout is coming to AT&T Stadium March 2nd through the 4th. Try barbecue from 14 teams across the U.S. and decide for yourself who's really the champ. Pair events each day like Texas' biggest happy hour, Derby Day, and Cinco de Mayo a day early. Country's biggest stars like Cody Jenks, John Party, and Midland will all be performing. Stay tuned to DLLS for information on upcoming VIP giveaways each day of the smokeout. Kids 10 and under get in free in general admission. Tickets start at just $68. Don't miss out. Get yours at lonestarsmokeout.com.
All right, let's talk about Game Time. Best platform out there to get tickets to your favorite live event, whether it's sporting events, concerts, theater shows, stand-up comedy. Game Time has it all. Go to their website, gametime.co, or simply download the app. Game Time has a new feature in their app called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier, because Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game 7, Saturday. We don't know the time yet. Actually, I'm sure it'll be announced very, very shortly, because the Oilers and the Kings game just finished. Edmonton eliminated. We'll get into that a little bit more. But if you want to see the Stars and the Avalanche play Game 7, go to Game Time. That will find the best chance to get best deals, curated deals, so you don't have to go through all the fluff. Of course, you also can get seat views so you know exactly where you are going to be sitting at the venue, whether it's American Airlines Center or otherwise. Plus, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, even job loss protection. All some of the features you can find by using Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, we continue our recap, and don't forget, we are going to get to your Super Chats here in our next segment. We'll also talk to Sam, who is over at Ball Arena doing the post-game conversations as we speak. Luds, the Stars were down a goal. They lost Bischel to an injury, although he did return in the third period. And the Finns kept on playing. And Mikael Granlund scores his first goal of the playoffs from Hintz and Rantanen at 3:41 to tie it at 2. And this is all about puck movement in transition.
It's speed. And when you spot people, and Granlund had a speed, I just love the finish on it most of all. I mean, he comes down the right-hand side. He pulls it across as a right-hander. He pulls it across to the left of Blackwood, and then he goes against the grain, and he just gets a little shovel back up to the top right side over his left shoulder. So I thought it was a great move, a great play. But again, the Finns, this is where they start taking the game over.
They do, except for the guy from the Czech Republic, or Czechia now. It's Martin Necas scores backdoor from Makar at the right post. This was not Makar flubbing one, but this was a good zone play from the Avalanche perspective.
Yeah, from the Stars' perspective, they were kind of staring at the puck. It was moving around in that area between the circles, and Roope kind of got attracted to it, and that's the guy that snuck in. He sneaks in behind him. Necas comes in behind him. Hintz was kind of watching the puck move around, and Necas all alone. And he was one of the guys, that wasn't putting the puck in the net, and he was kind of a perimeter guy. And he's one of the guys that I thought was staying on the outside. And if the coach would have had a talk with him, he'd asked him to get a little closer to the net. He did, and it pays off for him.
I'm seeing on Twitter, by the way, a quick break in here. Elliot Friedman reporting that Saturday night will be Game 7 at 7 Central, which is a schedule for humans. Now, I have not seen an official announcement from the NHL yet, but that is what Elliot is saying, and he usually has a pretty good idea, especially with the Canadian teams, except for Winnipeg, either advancing or going home in the last 24 hours. That may be it as far as hockey night in Canada on a Saturday. So that wouldn't be surprising if that's the case. Okay, so Necas scores, makes it 3-2 Avalanche, and it's a pretty big response because it happens less than a minute after Granlund had tied it. So the Stars 2 goals in fairly quick succession, about 2.5 minutes apart. But then the quick response. Drouin had a grade A chance from the left circle. Ottinger with a big save there. We're going to continue to make those comments too. But then Roope Hintz scores on the rush. And Luds, at first, I asked you the question on this goal. It was Roope's second of the period from Rantanen at 7:51. If maybe there was something Blackwood did wrong, But then as we watched a couple of replays, this is just a heavyweight wrist shot.
I don't think that Black, with the speed that Hintz has coming in, it's hard for him to get set up and read anything. And to me, it felt like it was he didn't know where to go. He didn't know where to look. All of a sudden, Hintz is on top of him, and he makes a great shot. He goes over that blocker side, and Blackwood just kind of sticks his blocker out. I think he's hoping that it hits it because I don't think he really had a good beat on it.
If it's official, NHL just released Game 7, Avs and Stars, 7 Central Time, 7 o'clock p.m. on Saturday at American Airlines Center. Game will be televised, of course, on Victory Plus. Will also be on ABC and ESPN Plus in the United States. And, of course, Sportsnet. It'll be the big hockey night in Canada up there, along with in French on TVA Sports. So there you have it, 7 o'clock on Saturday. The Stars tied it at 3 on the Hintz goal. Then there was a whole mess of chances, Luds, and it was mostly, well, no, it was all Colorado. High danger chances. Nate just on a 2-on-1 hit the right post. Drury rebound in the low slot. Ottinger comes up with a big save. Tays wide open in the slot, missed wide left, but that was a really good look. Parker Kelly races into the right circle. Ottinger stops him. Manson in the right slot hits the crossbar, and yet somehow it's still 3-3 after all of that.
Yeah, a little luck there. There were a couple of those that bounced around the net behind Jake, and it was an entourage. I mean, it was just everybody was joining in the party from the Avs, and so it just reminded us more of Game 4. I mean, it was like they just dialed it back in again, and it was all over in Star Zone.
And then Tyler Seguin had a great look. Low left circle, one-timer. Blackwood made a really good save. That looked like it might go in. And then, of course, Mikko Rantanen, right down the slot, scores on a wrister that, frankly, the Avalanche would have to be very upset they allowed that kind of space. But that was it almost felt like it was scripted. Less than 90 seconds to go in the second period. Rantanen cuts in, gets the pass, fires it home. Hintz and Ceci the assist. That's 4 points in the period for both Hintz and Rantanen. They're up 4-3. It's all the Finns.
Yeah, it was a nice play by Hintz off the wall. The puck was over on the half wall, down by the hash mark there, and he makes a really quick play. He grabs it out of a bit of a pile, and he finds Rantanen. And the other thing that Rantanen doesn't do is he gets the puck and he releases it right away. Never gave Blackwood a chance, and he finds him 5 holes. So doesn't let him get set up, and smart play. And I thought right there, oh, here they're all going to go. Now that Rantanen scored a goal, it's going to be the game winner, or they're the ones that can end our season. And I shouldn't have thought that. I think as soon as I think it started turning the other way again.
So with that, you get through 2 periods of play, it was better, right? Because even though I originally had high dangers at 3-0 Colorado after the first, they had 8 in the second period, but Dallas has a 4-3 lead, and they had 4 of their 5 high dangers win in the net. That's a good thing. In the end, here we go, third period, they have the lead, and Luds, after 40 minutes, I think everybody around the DLS studio and our watch-along,
we're feeling too good.
Felt pretty good about it. A little too soon?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
A little too soon.
Well,
we haven't heard from that guy MacKinnon. Never know.
It started with Val Nichushkin going to the net. Landeskog's shot was saved by Ottinger, but boy, Val did a great sort of pull the puck and score at the left side. And it's tied. And 4-4, 6 minutes into the third period, kind of felt pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah, too quick. There was some air in the balloon for the Stars, and again, I think a lot of that has to do with home ice, and their fans didn't quit, and they kept them going, and they just stayed on the same track with everything. And I just thought it kind of got a little. It kind of felt like Dallas was the team that was down a game because it felt like they were panicking at times and scrambling around and chasing pucks instead of your position and things like that. And I think that's what opened up some space.
So that makes it 4-4, but 3 minutes later, it was the unfortunate game-winning goal. Avalanche fans will say it was lucky but good. We get an own goal. Nathan MacKinnon throws one toward the net. Sam Steele goes to clear it, and he puts it, again, shooting away from the goal, off the torso of Colin Blackwell, and it bounces back in. That's the flukiest goal we've seen in this series.
Yeah, and again, how did you say it started? It started by someone throwing a puck to the net, and all of a sudden the bounces are flopping around, and everybody was in, and they collapsed. And I mean, you don't look at Blackwell and say you could have done anything different. I mean, you can't, because he doesn't even see it until the last second, hits him in the chest, and Jake, all he can do is look up at the rafters.
So with that, here we go. 5-4 Colorado. Stars go 6-on-5, and they had a chance. Hintz, point blank. I don't know if he got a ton of it, but it was a great setup. Was it Duchesne, I think, cross crease from the corner? Yeah. That was their best look before a timeout and an almost immediate empty netter by Manson, and then an even further one from Makar. That Hintz one was the one to try to tie it. In between that, they had a power play. And that was a dicey one because that was the Makar flop, which led to at least killing off 2 minutes of chance for the Stars to get back into it.
Yeah, and again, you look at that Hintz chance, and Blackwood made a save when he needed to save, regardless of how it turns out. I mean, he made the big save at the time; he was in the right spot. So, on tonight's night, he was a goaltender that on a scrambly night and a chaos at times at both ends of the rink, he was the one that found a way to make an extra save.
So obviously the Stars were good enough to push back, score some goals, and hang around in a game that was wide open. But the scoring chances, 47 for Colorado, 29 for the Stars. High dangers, 13-6 by my unofficial count. That's a lot, and that's probably not satisfying the defenseman in you.
Yeah, because like we talked about in the pregame, we were talking, and I said, if you flipped goalies right now in this series before tonight's game, if we flipped goalies, who would be winning the series? I felt it would be the Avs because Jake has been playing great, and he's making saves, and he did the same thing tonight, but there was too many quality chances that the Avs had, and like I said, it was like they were playing downhill, and the coverage and things like that opens up, but when you have everything going to the net, a lot of times you got to turn around and find the puck, and you don't always know where it's at, and that's what creates some good chances.
The Stars lose the game. It felt like they had a chance to knock off the Avs, but of course, we've talked about desperation. We talked about urgency. Colorado had to win this game.
Yep.
And if they didn't, their season's over. So that leads to the change in the pressure now, because now it's squarely on Dallas. They played 82 games to finish higher than Colorado and have home ice advantage. They have history on their side, as Pete DeBoer has a best ever Game 7 as a head coach record of 8-0. He's had a couple with the Stars. Let's see, it was the Seattle Game 7 in 2023, and then first round Game 7 against Vegas. So he's won a couple with Dallas. And he's going to have to do another one. And I'm not here to try to dance on everybody and say I was right, but my prediction, I believe you three, Sam, Sean, and yourself, picked Colorado to win the series when we started, when you were forced to put feet to the fire. And I said Stars in 7. Forget that I picked the Stars. Are you at all surprised that this series is going 7?
Not the way it's gone. I mean, you can see these teams are so closely matched. And I don't know if I would say you're right when you say the pressure is on Dallas. It's because they have home ice. But pressure is on Colorado, too. One of these teams is going home.
That's right.
So they both feel pressure. But, again, my opinion is if you're going to have to play a Game 7, of course you'd rather play it at home. A little more comfortable in your own building, your fans, and all that other kind of stuff. But there is pressure there because you are at home. And so, but I do think that the Avs coming in with the moves that they made, and for everybody involved in that organization, whole Rantanen story, this kind of stuff, I think there's pressure. They don't want to end this series here. They want to go on because they think that they can make it to the final somehow, and so does Dallas. So, I think the pressure is similar.
Yep.
The pressure's on the goaltenders. That's who I think. And I think the pressure ends up being on the goaltenders. But at the end of the day, you never want to play Game 7 regardless where you are if you don't have to.
Boy, there's a lot of things to ask about. Is Liam Bichsel okay? Will he be able to play Game 7? He did return, but obviously, he missed a bunch of time with some sort of injury. Looked like he hit his head, but we're not sure. In the second period, he did come back, so maybe he's all right. Is anybody else banged up? Same for the Avalanche. It's been a punishing series so far. Lots of things to think about as we get ready for Game 7 on Saturday night, 7 o'clock Central Time in Dallas. And then, of course, the Miro question. We'll get to that and all your Super Chat questions next here on the DLS Stars post-game show after Game 6.
Here we go again, Stars fans. What's up? Did you enjoy the game? Nope. Don't overthink it. I'm just reading what it says, by the way. What to wear?
It sounds so natural.
Yeah, I know. It's so natural. It's kind of depressing. What to wear? Done. We'll toss that jersey away that you wore tonight. Don't know what to serve your friends. Hopefully they had a ton of Bud Light, but it is easy. Pick up some pizza to go with that Bud Light and stock that fridge up, especially for Saturday, because you're going to need it to celebrate. See, kind of that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, but do it responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light, St. Louis, Missouri.
Let's talk about Empire today. Just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, Stars currently have, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We have all been to those big box stores. You wander endless aisles, then somehow you're hauling all these materials home, looking for an installer and coordinating everything yourself. Those big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday and could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Well, Empire Today is your best bet for a new floor because that's everything they do. They live and breathe flooring, and they'll be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors. See how your furniture in your house looks with your new flooring, precise measurements taken, and all your questions answered with no surprises. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. That's right. You heard that correctly. A $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DLLS for full details. All right. We've got Super Chats to hit to. Sam will be joining us from Denver in short order. And by the way, I was slightly incorrect. It's still a 7 o'clock game Saturday, but you can't watch it on Victory Plus. It is an ABC and ESPN Plus exclusive. So that means Victory Plus broadcasts of their season concludes after tonight's one, which is probably a little bit abrupt, although maybe they had a feeling that Game 7 would be picked up. That it's exclusively on ABC and ESPN Plus. So, Elijah, get that bing bong finger ready. Let's get going. Oh, he did a voice. That was interesting. Play that again. Whose bing bong was it?
Bing bong.
Yeah, but that wasn't the one I heard. I was going to say that was definitely GM Ben. Christian with a Madonna 99. We threw this away on an awful play by the fourth line. Why were all 5 guys by Otter with only 2 Avs in the area? Why was 15 even there when his man is on the post? I'm upset. I'm disappointed. I'm pissed.
Because they collapse and in panic time, and you get down to the front of the net, which you're better off being in front of the net or down by the net than on the perimeter like we've seen sometimes. But it's what happens when you don't get your head on a swivel and start looking around.
Next one.
Bing bong.
Reed Thomas with a Heiskanen and 99 cup year. Otter was great. 2 to 3 wacky goals. Blackwood will be shaky on Saturday. Bischel is a stud. Ready to roll. Stars in 7. Luds, the arena on Thursday game. No, what's today? Today was Thursday. On Monday, I've forgotten what day it is. Monday's game 5, as a couple of shaky goals went in, the Stars fans at the AAC started really chanting Blackwood, getting to him, riding him for the first 40 minutes. Then he got pulled and Scott Wedgwood came in. I have a feeling that the fans are going to be fired up to try to get in Blackwood's head from before even the puck drops.
Yeah, maybe. And I would imagine that the Avs will come in and say, we can't, just sit back and kind of go into a shell. We want to play the way that we play at home. So both teams are probably going to want to have that plan. And I think that, and again, I think that if you're Stars, you have to start throwing pucks in that like you did, because you want that goaltender to start thinking about the same 2 that went on him. You want him to have to relive that all over again. Not like they'll go that way, but give him a chance.
Do you think that the fourth liners from our previous Super Chat with Christian, that they'll be sort of harboring a little extra motivation, or is Game 7 enough?
No, Game 7's enough. They got to, again, I think both teams, even if you win the game, you got to park it because you're starting all over again on Saturday.
All right, let's go to the next one. Osama bin Ballin.
I thought that guy was going home.
No, that guy we can't get rid of. A Lundqvist and year after the cup. Luds, back in your day, what would happen to Makar? Would someone take a run at him?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, but it would happen early in the series. In all honesty, you don't want to get a guy like that rolling along, and it's not always like taking a run at him. You just try to make it uncomfortable. And there'd be a lot of things on the top of his foot and the hand area underneath the. There's some empty spaces in your equipment where you try to, without taking penalties. So you can make it uncomfortable for guys. But anytime that what you basically do is when he gets to the front of the net, those things occur so that he stays out here a little bit more. And it can't just be one or two guys. It's got to be the whole team and going, oh my God, the whole team's coming after me.
On the flip side, though, Makar's such a great skater that there's two things. One, he's elusive, so he's hard to hit, because if he was easier to hit, more guys would do it. And two, you always talk about him controlling the game with the puck on his stick. So guys are chasing him a lot anyway.
Well, that's the thing is he's going to be like that. So you have to make sure your coverage is such that he's going to have to go through two or three guys. Because when you get into the offensive zone and if you want to spread out, now there's more open ice that's available. So you want him to not see that open ice and give it to somebody else. I mean, that's the whole point is let Makar get it off of his stick.
Let's go to the next one. Oh, here comes another bing bong.
Oh, no.
Bing bong.
Oh, good.
Boy, he had a lot of fun in the watch along until the end, didn't he?
It's 4 Bud Lights. It was the two.
No, it was the Viking helmet.
Two in the helmet. Yeah. Done.
Burned Oils with a Brendan Smith in Year After the Cup. Lud's parade float on the line. Miro Game 7.
I've been thinking about this for a while now about the parade float. So, if anything, guys, if you need a reason, that's the reason.
I don't think he plays.
The whole Miro thing.
I don't think he's ready. Maybe.
I just think if he was ready, it would have been after a couple. Again, I don't know what 36 hours is going to do for him if they didn't, because you want to end this. If Miro was that guy that you need in there, because is that a desperation move to put him in now? But if he was ready, if he's ready then, I think he'd have been ready tonight.
Yeah.
And you would like to end it not to play a Game 7. But who knows? Maybe it's that inspiration very similar to when Landeskog came back.
My hunch says he doesn't play, but I would have been surprised if he played tonight. I will be less shocked if it's Game 7 because of the desperation and
not having played for 2.5, 3 months.
I know.
He's not going to be as sharp. I don't think he's going to be as sharp regardless because he hasn't been in any kind of contact in this kind of environment up till now after his injury. So you can't expect him, although we should expect the best out of Miro all the time, but you can't expect him to be the same guy he was before he got injured.
Let's go to the next one.
Bing bong.
Christian with a Madonna 99 Cup here. If Miro plays Game 7, I was worried he will be rusty and that deep pairings will be off with getting mixed up from Miro coming back in. Miro should have played tonight. Not sure what more he needs to do. There's a lot more. I think that he has a timeline for recovery that has not been affected by this series. The Stars have been very intentionally, maybe even deliberately non-committal. Right? They've been saying it. He could come back. The possibilities there. Not once have they ever said, we expect him back in this series, because they probably knew exactly how long they thought he would take. And I don't think there's been any setbacks, Luds. I think, if anything, it's probably he's gotten a little closer than we would have expected. Honestly, I think Dallas has done exactly what you should expect, which is to not give up too much information, not rule him out, because that plants some seeds of doubt. But otherwise, I don't think he was ever really planning on playing this series.
And you know what? Everybody can keep asking the question. We keep asking the question, but no one knows. And again, it may be up to Miro. But I do believe that, like I've said this many times, this is long-term for Heiskanen too. I mean, you don't want something to reoccur if he's not right, especially up in his head, and you go out there worrying about it. Like, Miro's just got to be able to go out and play. So, but like I said, he may be on the plane right now saying, Coach, I'm playing. I'm in.
Our intrepid beat reporter Sam did video Miro doing, and Sam talked about in the pregame show, something he posted on Twitter was some pretty vigorous 2-on-2, one-end cross-ice game that they do sometimes, doing some skating afterwards. That's all fine and good, but as Lud said, coming in Game 7, like Landeskog coming in Game 3, gave him games to get up to speed, get the hands and the rust knocked out. Game 7, there's no margin for error. Let's talk to JEF250 with a Heiskanen 99. Luds, last year and this year, Duchesne has disappeared in the playoffs. Is he a defensive problem?
I wouldn't say he's a defensive problem, but I agree with you. There were a couple guys that I talked about 2-3 games ago,
Yep.
and it was Matt and it was Wyatt, and Wyatt stepped. I didn't notice Wyatt as much tonight. I know in the last game he came out, obviously scored a goal early, and I think we noticed him. But yeah, for Duchesne, I don't know, but I do. Again, they know that he's a dangerous kind of player. They know the style and the game that he plays. They know that he's creative, and I think they have a pretty good book on him. So there may be some things that they're doing that isn't going to allow him to free up as much, because there's not a ton of time and space out there. Duchesne is the kind of guy, and really, I can't recall one time, and you may remember a couple, that Matt Duchesne has been able to enter the offensive zone and get over to the right-hand side of the ice.
To where he wants to be.
That's where he wants to be, and because he can pull up, he makes these plays, and I've never seen him over there. And if it were me playing against him, I talked about this year early on, that's where he wants to be. And I think what you try to do with any player is you try to always make him go to his B move versus his A move. And he's very effective when he gets over there.
I like how Elijah's just moving us along here. T. Farmer with a Madonna 99 Cup here. Puck luck versus skill goals. Good thing Colorado can't play on Southern ice. Mikko and Hintz are the only pair of teammates in history to both have 4 points in a period. What do you think about having to play on Southern ice? Excuse me. Sure. Yeah.
Agreed.
Next one.
Bing bang.
Burned Oils with a Brendan Smith and Year After the Cup. We need Luds to do some spirit cooking to save us.
Spirit cooking. What is that? What is spirit?
Open to interpretation.
Cooking?
Maybe it's mixing
Anything to do
alcoholic
with
beverages.
Bourbon?
It could, or it could be some sort of voodoo.
Let me tell you, the spirit cooking that these players do nowadays, I'd have to go to Whole Foods, because they're
Bing bang.
pretty high-end athletes.
Reed Thomas with a Haskinen 99. Need Luds to finish a Bud Light beer tower at Happiest Hour Saturday afternoon while doing an ad read to get the positive vibes going.
Wait, I was there today. I
He's-
didn't finish a...
They're asking. He's asking
Tower.
you to do it on Saturday before the game. I don't know.
I
Have
could
you been
be
invited?
coerced. I don't know. I think that's an invite.
It sounds like an invite. Reed, are you
are you-
financing this pregame festivities, or what's the deal here?
Bing
I don't know,
bang.
Ben. Are we going back over there again?
Stars
Okay.
25 Cup year with a Haskinen 99. I was ready to apply for my Finnish citizenship. I have absolutely no claim to it. Just wanted to be a piece of greatness. That line is cooking.
I'd jump on that Finnish shirt. That's what I would do.
I would too. We could actually have our illustrious supreme leader parade.
Who, Elijah?
No, well, that's a good point. The other one,
Oh.
parade the Finnish Mafia shirt,
there
which
you go.
is still for sale. I don't know how many are left. Oh, he,
He
just ran.
away.
I don't
Bing
think he
bang.
understood the assignment.
Wait. Are we getting the helmet?
Oh, he's getting the helmet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's coming out with
Here
it.
it is. Before we read the
The
next
guy that
super
says
chat.
speed up and get out
No,
of
no,
here.
you got to walk in front so they can see the shirt. You got to do the sort
Well,
of
then
like
they can't see the horns.
take the stairs or the elevator or something. There it is. No,
Now you're
wrong
right
way.
behind the
Not
scoreboard.
as easy as it looks, is it? There it is. That's the Finnish Mafia shirt, and it's fantastic. The Viking helmet does not come with your order, but it is.
Looks like that hat is sitting on like a bowling ball with two eyes. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Stars 25 Cup year with a Haskinen 99. I am proud for Val for staying away from the powder for once. I don't know if that's in great taste. Amazing what a clear mind can accomplish. Val was noticeable tonight, Luds, and he has been breaking sticks in morning skate today, the other day in the game. He's been showing the frustration of not being as big an impact player as he expects from himself.
Bing
Yeah, I
bang.
rattled off four guys, right? It was Natchez,
Yep.
Val, Coyle,
Yep.
and Nelson. I honestly didn't notice Nelson that much tonight.
Coyle scored on his own net by accident.
Yeah, but I didn't
The other
notice
two had
Nelson.
goals.
Yeah, the other two did. So, and I think those are important. I think Val is important to that team. And when he wants to play that straight ahead game, it's hard to contain him.
Burned Oils with a Brendan Smith in Year After the Cup. If 4 and 6 can't go, we may have to dress you, Luds.
We're in trouble then.
Bing bang.
Stars 25 Cup year with a DeSmith and a 99 Cup year. Luds, it's time to bring out the traffic cone. Game 7.
I got it sitting in the garage. It was there. I was going to bring it today, and I thought, no, I'm bringing it. Do we have a show tomorrow?
We do not.
No show tomorrow?
No show
So
tomorrow.
Maybe it'll make its appearance on Saturday.
Put it in the car, and if you have to make a game time
I left
decision.
it on purpose.
Yeah.
But
You
yeah.
knew it wasn't coming out tonight.
Yeah.
Look at that. We have just cranked
That's
through
it?
a whole segment of Super Chats. Is Sam ready for us, Elijah? Perfect. We'll talk to Sam next from Ball Arena here in the Game 6 post-game show on DLLS. But first, let's talk about being a diehard. I could just parade Ben back out here, but no, we have pictures. It's okay. He doesn't have to be out again. I don't know if trotting around on his knees is going to be very comfortable for the boss man. Sign up for that QR code right down here. See, it's not hard to do. You just find it, point to it. See, Luds knows what he's doing.
I'm trying to see which hand's working.
There it is, right there. If you scan that QR code,
well, now you move.
That'll take you to the website.
DLLS.com. I had it nailed. It's over there. Oh, no, it's right here now.
It again. That will get you to
right
the
there.
Die Hard page. Sign up today. Why? Because it gives you the top level of access for our company. You get access to all the writing. Do you enjoy reading about the Stars, the Mavericks, the Cowboys, the Rangers? Well, if you're on your phone and you're using that as your platform, ad-free as a Die Hard, and it unlocks all the Die Hard level writing. I know the Tim Cato try that again. Tim Cato's story on the Mavs, the most recent one, is still gaga, but there's so much more from Sam, from Joe and Clarence with Cowboys, Tim with the Mavs, and of course, Jeff with the Rangers. Great writing. In addition to that, when you sign up to be a DLS diehard, you get a free t-shirt with your first year of annual subscription, and you can get the playoff shirts like the Moose or the Captain. They are available, and we've seen some people already wearing them. Make sure you tag us. Take a picture of your DLS shirt that you get, tag the DLS Sports or the DLS Stars Twitter accounts. We will retweet you. That's the Finnish Mafia shirt. Show that again, Elijah. I think that's my favorite one of the whole bunch. Of course, you can pick any shirt from any of the DLLS merchandise availabilities. When they're gone, they're gone. Do not sit there and hem and haw. Sign up immediately because you may not. They sell fast. We were selling a lot of shirts tonight. You might not get them back. And one last thing, just because we're here, I just want to point out.
We're always here.
We are always here. We are trying to beat DNVR with new DLS signups in this series. I think we're doing pretty well. Help us out so that we can beat them on the ice and off the ice. AllDLLS.com. All right, let's welcome in our third member of our show tonight, and his name is Sam Nestler. Sam, that was a wild one at Ball Arena. What was it like from your perspective in the building?
Did you say him and haw?
Is Sam on unmute? No, I think Sam muted himself. Try again, Sam. No, we got nothing.
Not muted.
Unless our speakers are turned off, which we aren't because we heard all the bing bongs.
Well, that was Ben yelling bing bong.
No, that was good too. Yeah. Keep going, Sam. Oh, he froze. Yeah, it's definitely Sam.
It's always Sam.
Yeah, he was trying to say he was good. It was definitely on Sam. Your initial thoughts on Game 7?
Well, I think you have to, first off, again, we knew this coming into this series, is you have to somehow shut down MacKinnon. I mean, he's the guy that drives the whole thing. You know, I look at, ironically, MacKinnon, Natchez, and Lehkonen. Lehkonen had 8 shots tonight.
He was all over it.
Natchez had 6.
Yep.
MacKinnon had 2. Didn't seem like that, did it?
No, but he wasn't the one driving the puck on net as much.
Yeah, but again, that line does the damage. They kind of set the tone for that team. The other thing is, I think that Dallas, again, I know it's not their style, but they were out hit tonight like 46, 47, or whatever it is to 19. So, you know, they've got to be on that end because, again, make it uncomfortable. And if you don't know which guy to hit, you hit everybody. So I just think that.
Yeah, don't discriminate.
Yeah. I think that they have to, and again, I'm not saying that they got to run around and things like that because we know the kind of game that they play, but a team can get, especially players can get a little bit more comfortable, especially in the offensive zone when you're not getting hit. And so I think you need to make them feel a little bit more. And again, it's not like you're going to go out and take a bunch of penalties. We know that, but I think that you have to be a little bit harder on everyone, but in particular, you know, that line, if Lehkonen wants to run around in 8 hits, and he's not like one of those kinds of guys to run around. But I'm just saying you have to make it difficult on these guys when they're getting around in front of the net for sure. And I look at guys like Cece and Labushkin. You look at the Bischel, Petro. They have to make it uncomfortable for guys in front of their goaltender.
Parker Kelly was tracked with 11 hits tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his game. That's what he does. But 11 seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Well, all you have to do is bump into people. I mean, again, they're effective.
It could also be the not to take anything away from Parker Kelly, but it could also be some trigger-happy stats people.
Nah, I don't know. You watch these guys. They all finish their checks. All of them.
Sam, what do you think? Are you there? Can we hear you?
He's still frozen again. Oh, no.
No, he's
You
pretending.
gotta finish your chicks.
There he is. All right. We can hear you now. What was it like out there?
Yeah, that was, I think, the craziest game I've covered and the craziest period maybe that I've ever seen. That second period was just nonstop. I mean, 10 points from the Finns in the game, 9 from the Stars Finns in just one period. I heard you guys mention the Rantanen and Hintz becoming the first players with 4 points each in a period. Just absolutely nuts. And going into that period, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see them tying it up as quickly as they did. And I didn't see Colorado coming right back, and Dallas somehow coming out with a lead in the beginning of the third period. The Bischel injury, just so much going on. It felt like a 3v3 overtime, to be honest. Very open. Pete DeBoer already said that we don't want to play that way, but we were down 2-0. We had to open it up a little bit. But it was just absolute chaos. I mentioned Bischel. We all saw he came back. I don't know how, from seeing how long he was down, either in some sort of pain, discomfort, whether it was days or whether it was something he was grabbing at. It did not seem like something he would come back from. Came back, played the whole third period, and Pete said he was fine. So I know they lost, but what a fun game, entertaining the whole way. And now we get Game 7, which, let's be honest, many of us believe this was happening before we even stepped foot on the ice for Game 1.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it from a neutral perspective, they would have loved this hockey game, right? Stars and Avs. Maybe Avs fans are happy with playing this style because their team is probably the quintessential run and gun between Colorado and Carolina, the two most wide open teams as far as their style of play. There goes Ben. That means he's not going to troll us in the chat, but maybe he will. But at the same time, I don't think, as you said, I don't think the Stars are really thrilled to play that way. But I said this before. 2 years ago, the Stars were not equipped to compete in a game like this. They would have gotten run out of the building. I remember them really struggling against Colorado, against Tampa in their heyday because they didn't have the horses to compete in that style. They could do it, lock it down, grind it out, one line gets going kind of thing, but they didn't have options. Now they can. And last year and this year, they can play. You say, whichever way you want to play, we can go toe-to-toe with you. I understand that Pete doesn't want to do that, and that should be different in Game 7, but it's not as though they're out of it because they give up a couple goals.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the key Pete said last game was they played their most honest game, and defending led to a lot of their goals. They scored 6 goals, which is the most they score in the series, and a lot of that came from good defending. They weren't wide open like tonight. If you were to look at the different versions of the games from tonight to last game, it was just drastically different in terms of D-zone coverage, turning pucks over, not allowing Colorado to just turn up and skate right at them downhill. I mean, I said to Leah a couple times, Dallas was they're usually so good at this, but when their defense gets up in the rush or gets up into a cycle, Dallas is usually really good at getting a forward back to make sure that they have 2 back there. They weren't doing that very often. And all of a sudden it would turn over in the corner and they'd have 4 guys down in below the dots or below the top of the circle and get stuck. And we saw just rush after rush, and it was going the other way. So it didn't seem like it was all Dallas messing up necessarily. But then you look at the shots and it was 41-17 or whatever it was. Clearly the chances and shots were heavily leaning towards Colorado, even though Dallas was creating its own chances. But I think it was an entertaining game. It was fun. It's a tough one to drop. I mean, that was one of the tougher locker rooms, dressing rooms that I've had to walk into in terms of the feeling, the frustration. I mean, felt for Jake Ottinger, who played incredible again tonight. Just didn't deserve what he got. And he said it. I think Victory Plus might have posted, or someone might have posted it already on Twitter, but he basically said he laughed at that goal. That last goal. It's the only way you can react to something like that is, Steele's not trying to chip the puck off Blackwell. Blackwell's not trying to knock the puck past Jake. It's just one of those situations where you just have to shrug your shoulders and say, like, what the hell, man? And that's what Jake said. He said Mike asked him, puck bounces both ways in this series. There's been some crazy bounces, and Jake said what I was feeling, which is they've gotten more bounces, and eventually maybe they even themselves out. Maybe Saturday there's a couple that go Dallas's way, but I saw some Avs fans saying, finally the puck luck's back in our corner, and I'm like,
finally.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I think they're referring to last game, the goals early against Blackwood. That was just bad goaltending. That wasn't a bicycle kick flipping a puck over the top of a goalie and a shot hitting two defensemen and going in, and then a shot, literally Sam Steele shooting it off of his own guy past his own goalie. I mean, I know you create your own luck, so it all, as I say, it comes back, and my hope is that they get at least one of those in Game 7 to kind of feel better. But the other thing that was interesting, Pete was really frustrated and really disappointed. Very quick to answer questions. You could tell he was getting red. He was getting kind of boiled up about it. Immediately dismissing questions, even about Bischel's injury or things like that. But his main thing was he was disappointed with the bounces because the way they played, the way their top line played, the way Jake played, he just felt they deserved better. And it's interesting to hear a coach say disappointed instead of angry or frustrated, and that just shows you there's just not much you can do in some of those scenarios with those bounces. And then Pete, I got to look back and see what he's talking about, but he was very angry with the officiating in this game. He said some of those calls just should never happen in playoff hockey or in the NHL. And someone asked specifically, which ones, and he said, go back and watch the tape. I'm not going to talk about it. And then he stormed off. So I'm going to go back and watch and just see what he's talking about. I can't think of any off the bat that would have been obvious ones. Maybe the Granlund call late, but it didn't really cost the Stars, and it was kind of a iffy one. But one of the more frustrated and snappy type of Pete DeBoer press conferences that we've had, and his focus is now shifting to try to stay undefeated in Game 7s.
I know
that
they
don't want to talk about him because they're not going to give any ammo to anybody else. I think you don't want the referees to know about it, which they're not listening to these interviews and stuff like that. But I wanted to ask you, Sam, can you compare the home crowd there as far as the Avs go versus we know how it is here in Dallas, and how is it anywhere near the Dallas when they get revved up and behind their team?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pete said it this morning. He said very similar buildings, and I completely agree with him. This is a Dallas. I love the arena. This one is up there with it. I hate arenas like New Jersey. One of the things I hated about going to the Devils games is they pump music and sound into the arena. It's not from the fans. It's music and bass and loud
energy.
Noises. Yeah, and that just if you're in different, if you're not in different arenas, you don't notice it, right? But if you go to Dallas and work one of those games, or you come here, or you go to Vegas or whatever, it's really obvious when teams do that. Here, that's not the case. I really love they have white pom poms, and when they blast a bass sound and cheering, and they kind of shake the pom pom up, and it looks really cool with all the white around this arena behind me here, similar to like a whiteout in Winnipeg. I love atmospheres like that, and it makes it really fun. The only thing that's kind of weird about this arena is the fans are really close here, similar to Dallas, but they're even a little bit higher up. So like when they celebrate a goal, their heads are like eye level with you. And I had a fan last time in Game 4. Every time the Avs scored, he tried to high five me every single time. And I was like, no, man, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to high five you for these. So it's an odd one. And I will maybe not miss being in this arena until next season.
Well, it will be interesting to see how things play out on Saturday night in a reasonable 7 p.m. puck drop. It might be 10 after. I don't know what ABC is planning on doing as far as the pregame stuff, but should be at least a normal setup, which for the fans in Dallas is great because, the difference between 2 hours is crazy, right? We're getting done. It's almost 1 a.m. here in Dallas. It could be 11 a.m. and that's totally fine. And it works with Ludz's post-game schedule as well a lot better.
Yeah, it's hard getting the last call a lot of times here.
I was going to say.
Just keep rambling on.
Just rambling on. Within the frame of our expected hour of programming.
Yeah, what are we at?
I think we have doubleheader, 2 different types of doubleheaders. I believe with the
balloons.
I just got to put my hands down here. There's
no reason to celebrate, Sam.
I wasn't. Here, I give you the. No, but I think there's the U18 gold medal game. I believe might be at the
I'll be
exact
there.
same
So
time.
I'm going tomorrow night.
I'm going
It's
as
not
well.
the gold medal game. I'll be at
USA
the
Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm
the
bringing
gold medal
kids.
game is
We're gonna go
Saturday
watch the
night.
game tomorrow night. So it should be fun. Canada's playing in the first semifinal. I think it's at 3:00.
Yeah, 3 and 7.
And then 7:00 is the other semifinal. And USA Sweden, that should be a really fun game up in Frisco. So if you are looking for something to do on a Friday night before the big Game 7 on Saturday, go get some tickets to this semifinal U18 World Championship, Comerica Center in Frisco. There's not a bad seat in the place.
And if it plays out right, it'll be U.S.-Canada the day after.
Yeah, and it will be really fun. And
During
Anton
the Stars
Frundell,
game.
maybe the best prospect in the tournament, playing for Sweden. Blake Fiddler playing for the U.S. I'm excited about it.
I'm looking
Bing
forward to
bang.
handing
And
the
then,
player
and
of the
then
game
Denver
to
also has a doubleheader as well with the Nuggets playing game something on Saturday as well. So lots of eyes on these two sports cities on Saturday.
I told Fids, be
Hold
ready
that thought.
because I'm ready to hand out the player of the game to Blake Fiddler.
I love it. Hey, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for joining us on our television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod. Check out alldlls.com. Okay, now we're in overtime. We're not going to go very long in overtime, but let's say that again. You want to hand out the
Game
boot
7
trophy
overtime.
Yeah,
to-
I'm going to hand out the boot to the American player of the game, so hopefully Fids is good.
That would be a really fun photo op, too,
Yeah.
to be you and Blake out there. Burned Oils with a Brandon Smith in Year After the Cup. Lud's hips started to ache when he heard my super chat about going in and playing in Game 7.
No, they don't. They'd be ready to go.
You would fit right in with the Stars penalty-killing shot block mentality.
Did Essa
The man-on-man might
Did
not-
Essa get over 2 tonight?
Let's take a quick look at that.
I didn't think he got over 2. I was waiting.
Asa Lindell had 2.
Yeah, he didn't get
He
over
did
the 2.5.
not.
I didn't think so.
Cody Cece with a team-high 5, game-high 5 block shots in the game tonight. So none of that. Sam, anything else from post-game? Anything crazy?
No,
It's
I
okay.
think
You don't have to. You don't have to make it up. Yeah, it's okay.
I was just thinking the one quote I put in my article from Rantanen. He said, "The more desperate team wins on Saturday." He said, "Game 7, everybody knows what that means," and I love that. That's a good way to sign it off. I put that at the end of the article. The only other thing I was going to say is I think the team is going to fly later tomorrow, and so Pete will be available. I believe it'll be around 3:00. We'll talk to him at the airport. So I actually got to change my flight to 10 a.m. Boys.
Oh,
Get to sleep in tomorrow.
my goodness. What are you going to do with yourself?
Yeah. I'm going to party. I'm going out tonight.
He's
the
going to
bars,
bed, isn't he?
Hitting it
He's
hard.
going to bed.
Hitting it hard. I'm going to watch Friends and eat a burrito.
He's already got his pajamas on underneath.
He is
that,
going to
so-
bed.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, really safe travels. We don't have to worry about squeezing you onto a show tomorrow with that because we have the day off now. But it's a Game 7. Should be a fun one. Luds, any final thoughts before we say goodnight?
I would say go challenge Miro to be in Game 7. See where he lands.
There you have it.
I'll see if I can talk to him.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for us tonight. Big thank you to Elijah Smith, our producer, who filled in
Yes.
admirably for our producer,
It
John
was
Anderson.
nice not having to deal with John.
You didn't have to bicker with our producer for a
Not
change.
at all.
Yeah.
It was
But you missed
beautiful.
him too.
Clip that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Elijah, great job tonight. Thank you very much. For Sam Nestler in Denver, who will be back at AAC on Saturday night, for Craig Ludwig, I'm Owen Newkirk. Also, a big thank you to Bobby Carella and Ben Rebstock for filling in with us on our watch along. That was nice to have. The Viking horns were really fun. All right, final score 7-4. Game 6 is done. Game 7, Saturday night, 7:00. I would imagine our pregame show will start at 6:15 Central Time. Stars and Avs, winner take all.
Handshake line coming up on Saturday.
There will be handshakes in
Can't
Dallas.
wait.
Who will be the happier team? Maybe the Stars. Check it out right here on DLLS. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.